I'm Paul Barraza. I'm a home inspector and I am the owner of this house. We bought this 1916 house in 2006.
And I'm Arlene Baxter. I'm a realtor with Red Oak Realty, and I'm also the founding member of the Climate Action Committee. And I'm going to be talking with Paul about various issues that home buyers and sellers should be thinking about when they buy an older home.
All right, so come on in. Let's check out the house.
Okay.
We started our energy retrofit in 2020. Instead of taking our family vacation in the pandemic, our family and friends re-roofed our house, and then we had solar installed. Later we did electric appliances, and last winter when everyone was complaining about the high energy rates because the gas prices went up, we actually had no idea. So something new home buyers should think about is that there are tax incentives, a 30% tax credit that'll be good for this year and next year.
So Paul, I know you did a lot of work in the attic. What are the things that homeowners can take advantage of whenever you're accessing your attic?
Yeah, so when we did the roofing, we needed to tear all the insulation out, and that was a great opportunity to do air sealing and as well as get rid of the old knob and tube wiring. Once those two things were taken care of, then we could blow in a really thick layer of cellulose insulation that covered everything over and gave us about an R50 insulation level.
And have you already experienced any change in comfort from that?
Absolutely. It's a lot more comfortable, and the temperature swings throughout the day. Like in the middle of the day, it doesn't get too warm, and at night it doesn't get too cold.
Excellent. So one of the things that many East Bay homeowners love are their classic Wedgwood gas stoves. I understand that, Paul, your wife had one and loved it. Tell us a story of how you convinced her to move away from that and to an induction stove.
The Wedgwood stove we had for years, we loved it, and then I got a low-level carbon monoxide alarm to detect the lower levels of carbon monoxide, and when we would run the range, we'd put something on the cooktop, the alarm kept going off, and that kind of unnerved my wife, and that definitely helped us move along to the new induction range, which we love as well.
What are the things that you particularly like about working with induction?
Well, I love how responsive it is. When you're cooking, it's super responsive, it's fast to boil, it also cools off really fast, it's easy to clean, and I really like not breathing gas fumes when I'm cooking.
So sellers, if you already have a gas stove in place, please don't replace it. Let the buyers make that decision. And for home buyers, if you buy a home that has an older gas stove, this is an opportunity to move to induction, really consider your options, and take advantage of some wonderful rebates that are available right now.
As part of our electrification project, I ran a 240 volt circuit so we could have an electric dryer that we use instead of our old gas dryer. And when it's sunny out, we also have a laundry line that we can use.
So I know, Paul, when you moved in, you had a single gas source of heat and wanted to move to electric. Tell us about that evolution.
So we had an old wall furnace that was here at the front of the house. It did a good job of heating around the front, but then in the back of the house, we couldn't get any heat. So when we were going all electric, we wanted to do a heat source that worked for the whole house. It was much more efficient. So we went with a ducted mini split. Part of the reasons we wanted a ducted system is so we could have a filter, because in the last couple of years, we've had some significant wildfires, and being trapped in the home, not being able to get out without having a good way to filter the air. So our new system has a MERV 16 filter to help filter the air. It produces heat for the whole house, and the efficiency is about 400% efficient versus about 50 for the old wall furnace.
So we're here in Paul's bathroom, and by law in California, all water fixtures should be low flow. The standard for the toilet is 1.28 gallons per flush. But Paul, tell us about the choice you made, which is even more water efficient.
Yeah, this is a Niagara conservation toilet, and it uses 0.8 per flush, so it saves quite a bit of water. In addition, I've installed a recirculation pump that can be activated here, and that way you don't have to wait for hot water in the morning and waste water. Before I put the pump in, I would have to wait 70 seconds for the hot water to arrive at the faucet. After I install the pump, I hit the button, do my normal bathroom activities, and once I turn it on, it takes only 5 seconds for the hot water to arrive. Recently we got a bidet seat that also has a heated component to it. So I was curious, being the home inspector, how much energy it was using. So I put this kilowatt monitor to see, and it was using more than I thought. So I ended up getting, this was what is called a Kasa plug. And it works just as a normal switch, but it also is Wi-Fi enabled. So we can set a schedule where it turns on only in the morning or the night, or you can just use your phone to turn it on and off. So that way our heated bidet seat isn't on all day long. Here in the basement we have a hot water recirculation pump, and that's what recirculates the water when we hit the switch in the bathroom.
So we're now here in Paul's basement, and we see that there's a heat pump water heater. Most people still have gas water heaters, and we're in this transition period where the laws will be changing in the Bay Area and phasing out gas over time. But right now, there are a lot of plumbers, electricians, salespeople of water heaters that are not quite up to speed. So tell us your experience with the heat pump and the choices that you made.
Originally we had a tankless water heater on the outside, and we wanted to go all electric, so we put the heat pump water heater in. And we needed to run a 240 volt circuit because this does both heat pump as well as electric resistance. I've been using it only on the efficiency mode because I want to get the most efficiency out of it.
So we know that the technology of these water heaters especially is changing rapidly. One of the objections I've heard is about noise. What has been your experience with this one?
There is a hum to it, but it's not that loud. And this is a couple years old, and I know the newest generation, the current heat pump water heaters are very quiet. Basically equivalent to like a Bosch dishwasher. So if you can live with that noise in your kitchen, you could live with a similar noise in the basement.
And the technology is changing. They're now 120 volt water heaters as
Yep.
well that are heat pumps.
The outdoor unit for the heat pump is under the deck.
So a big question that people have when they're thinking about switching to electric is whether or not they're going to need a panel upgrade. We hope that in some cases it will not be necessary using newer technologies, smart switches, changes in behavior. But in your case, Paul, it sounded like there were multiple reasons that switching your panel and upgrading made sense. Why don't you tell us about those?
Yeah, so we had an old 100 amp panel. It was old enough that there were some issues with the breakers not working properly. So we definitely wanted a new panel. If we're getting a new panel, we're just going to go ahead and get a 200 amp, so we have plenty of space for whatever future upgrades we wanted. We actually got the panel as part of our solar installation. I was getting quotes from other contractors for getting the new panel for about $5,000 or more. As part of the solar installation, it was only about $2,000. So if you're thinking about getting a new panel and you're also thinking about solar, doing them together can give you significant cost savings.
One of the main concerns that people have with going solar and all electric is what happens in a power outage. And we also had a lot of unusual rains this year. So tell us about your newest addition to the electrification of your home.
Yeah, just yesterday we had this Neovolta battery installed. And one of the primary reasons is that in the winter we have a sump pump system, and if the power goes out, we don't have a sump pumps, and our basement can get water inside.
So in addition to just power outages, how is this helping you on a daily basis?
Well, during the day when we're at work, it's taking power from our solar panels and storing it in the battery. In the evening when the rates are high, we're using the battery for everything. All the circuits in the house are using the battery to run. And then if we need a little bit extra electricity from the grid, we can get some electricity from the grid as well.
So thank you, Paul, for sharing your home with us and all of the electrification that you've done here. It seems like you really benefited from having a plan.
I had a plan, and I knew I wanted to go net zero. And so I kind of created a roadmap with the help of a consultant, say, hey, these are the things I wanted to do. And that enabled me to do a lot of the work myself because I knew the things that I could tackle. For certain things like putting the solar panels on or blowing in the insulation, I had contractors come out and do it. But having that long-term plan of where I wanted to start and end helped me bundle things together. For example, the solar and the electrical panel, doing all the attic upgrades together with the wiring, air sealing, and insulation. And then that plan helped me get to the end and create a net zero home.